Originally released on mobile devices, Bridge Constructor has now made its way over to the PlayStation 4. But is this bridge building simulator an architect's dream? Or is it just a blueprint nightmare? Bridge Constructor is a game, well, where you build bridges. You have to construct a bridge out of a few different types of material and keep it sturdy enough for vehicles to get over. The main game for Bridge Constructor is broken into 5 different areas, with also 3 more areas added on through the Slope Mania DLC that's included. Each area of the game is then broken up into 8 different levels, and vary as far as the size of the bridge you're going to need to build. When you jump into a level, you'll have a big gap that you're going to need to fill with that bridge, and your goal is to build it through the materials. You have wood, steel, concrete, and wires. Some levels you'll be able to use everything at your disposal, and other ones you'll only be able to use one type of material, with a wood being, of course, the one you're going to be using the most. You then, well, build your bridge, and after you build it, you have to test it. And if cars or trucks or tankers are able to get over, you successfully complete the stage. You have to at least get cars by, but your ultimate goal is, of course, to get the trucks and then the tankers across for even more points. A lot of the fun and enjoyment in Bridge Constructor, though, is not only creating a bridge that's going to be able to successfully get the cars across, but it's also doing so with the least amount of expensive materials and doing it for the least amount of money. Every one of the levels has a set amount of money that you're able to go up to, and you can't exceed that. But your ultimate goal is to build the bridge for the least amount possible. By doing so, you'll end up with more points at the end of the level. It does take a little bit to get used to the game in general, just trying to figure out what pieces can kind of connect and how long different pieces can go before you're going to have to make the next intersection, and figuring out what exactly can make that steady bridge work. But once you kind of get the hang of it, get used to the grid system, which is there to kind of make sure that you have everything the way you want it, make sure you're able to do straight lines and get the diagonal points that you exactly want, the game really starts to become enjoyable, and in fact the creativity really starts to flow. This is a very relaxing game, at least a lot of it was. Having a very stressful day, I was able to kind of dive into this game and spent a good amount of time constructing a bridge. The problem is, though, once I was able to test the bridge and then realize that I didn't make it quite as sturdy as I thought, heartbreak starts to set in as the trucks immediately start to dive into the canyon below. But with those heartbreaking moments, there's also plenty of funny moments, as the bridges will fall apart and break apart, sending trucks flying down into the canyon, into water, flying up into the air, and sometimes even getting them to flip a few times as my bridge completely collapses in front of my eyes. But the triumph is well worth it. Once you're able to finally get that bridge and get that tanker across, there's definitely a sense of accomplishment. With a total of 64 levels, it will take you a decent amount of time probably to work your way through everything. Of course, for some people it may take longer or shorter. It all depends on the kind of skills and how quickly you adapt to just how everything works in Bridge Constructor. There were plenty of times where I jumped into a level and was able to make a bridge right away, and then there were other times where I worked hard on a bridge, thought I had it, and then there was just like one thing missing, and then I just put one more piece of wood, and all of a sudden then it finally worked. From the technical side of things, everything ran smoothly. I didn't run into any major glitching or crashing of any sort, and I also have to say I really enjoyed the relaxing music and soundtrack that goes along with the game. Being someone who's focused a lot of my reviews on the smaller PSN titles, I have to say that Bridge Constructor is one of the funnest mobile-style games I have played in recent memory. It is available on the PlayStation 4 for $9.99, and it does feature a full trophy list and a platinum. And in fact, it's a pretty easy platinum. It looks like mostly just beating each of the levels, with the car, truck, and tanker being able to get across. And for those who get really good at the game, or if you're going to use a guide down the road, you'll probably have no problem easily obtaining this platinum. With everything said, I'm going to be giving Bridge Constructor a 7 out of 10. It's a game that's definitely not for everyone. The price may be a bit much for some, but I think those who can get into this kind of game are going to get their money's worth out of it, that is for sure. There are a few other Bridge Constructor related games that have been released on Steam and the like, and hopefully some of those, like Bridge Constructor Medieval, make their way over the PS4 in the future. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoy.